Chair, the accounting officer in his brief remarks, because he's someone who has appeared before this committee before, to give us a general update what is happening in Civil Aviation Authority, much as we are going to look at the what? The Auditor General's report, so that we are updated, the current status, how is Civil Aviation Authority moving on, right from the time you are here. Thank you very much.
Okay, Honorable Martin.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to thank Civil Aviation. Of late, when you go through the Ugandan airport, it's now looking very good. It's at least, it's a good impression that at least. The rest, I'm not saying that your books are doing very well, by the way, but I'm just saying that at the actual view of it, it's looking nice. At least we're happy. And when you read at least the newspapers, it's one of those airports that are being talked about. So we want to thank you for the good work. Okay. But on issues of accountabilities, it's different. So,
Honorable Sivambi, MD, I think you are noting because you come.
Thank you, Chair. Before the committee, and we've had engagement and interaction and physical visits to civil aviation. I also want to add my voice. I think it's a commendable effort. As most of the queries, I think, not the financial queries, but these other queries which we are supposed to monitor as a sectoral committee, they have been addressed. So I think that's very commendable, to the extent that now we want to pass through the ordinary passage instead of VIP. So I think that's commendable. My only issue I really want to raise, I think Honorable Nangore has raised. We don't want to see you here over and over as if we are supervising you. So kindly, please, if there are issues you're talking about, like I've seen your response, unfunded, what do you do if government has failed to fund when we have appropriated? So really, what efforts you want to see? Do you have letters, or you don't want to disturb government for you to retain your jobs?
Please, Honorable Mali.
Thank you, Chair. Chair brought the ED, CEO ED on board. The DG on board. Otherwise, I thought he thought we directly want to go to the audit. We now give opportunities to the entities to tell us the general view of the entity, and then we begin from there. I also want to appreciate the work done on the airport. However, I still have an issue, and you remember the Director General, even the other audit, I happen to be a member, and I came back again on this committee. I raised it, the issue of the rifts. The other day I came with a delegation from Canada, and I was embarrassed. My colleagues in that caliphate of the arrival, it closes, it opens, it stops to open, it does not open, it locks itself, and I don't know what you are doing on that, because it was a serious issue, and it is still a serious issue. It looks ugly, though we have achieved what we have achieved on the airport. I don't know whether you left it to be like that or something is being done.
Okay, thank you. I will say DG.
Yes.
But according to the act, I'm saying Managing Director. MD.
There is an amendment, Honorable Chair.
Oh.
Yes, 2019.
Okay. Yes. Before you come in to respond to members' queries or floods destroying people's properties, and the airport was that the people's properties were ravaged in the floods. So can you have a comment on this, because it depicts a bad picture to our nation? And can you clarify on this, what happened? So how are you working on it? Because it showed a bad picture to our country. Yes, you can. The floor is yours now. Yes.
Chair, I forgot a problem now on arrival of the belts. There is a lot of chaos when the planes lands there. Those two belts that people use, you can spend like 2 hours waiting for the luggage to come. And this is putting our country in a very bad image. I have experienced it, I don't know how many times. And many people come, they sit, it is really terrible. I don't know whether there is some plans that are being done to address that issue, but really, you need to do something.
Yes, point clear. Yes, DG.
Things have changed in this committee, and really, I am very, very happy that these questions are being answered. It just set the pace for this interaction. And really, really, I want to commend this, because I should have done that, but I fear that maybe I am going to be ruled out of order.
No, please feel free. Please feel free.
Honorable Chair, to begin with the situation of the aviation industry in the country, I want to at the onset to say that things have never looked better like the way they are right now. Remember, our mandate is regulatory.
Try to push the microphone near you.
Regulatory. We regulate the industry. We also operate airports, and we provide a service in the form of air navigation services. And on all those areas, the parameters are really looking extremely good, like never before. And this is factual, because we have just come out of 2 audits by ICAO. One is the safety audit. I want to dispense with the nomenclatures. And the other one is security audit. These 2 audits were testing our capability as a civil aviation authority to regulate the industry. And the parameters were ranging from appropriate laws, and thanks to this House, because you have made very, very, very good laws and regulations, it was testing our capacity in terms of staff training and orientations and retooling. It was also testing our capacity to do surveillance for the industry, among others. And that was a safety audit that we undertook in September. And we got a score of slightly over 72%. The area score in 2014, when the was there, was 60%. So that is an increase of 12%, regardless of the challenges caused by audit and the expansion of the industry, but also new challenges of requiring more investment and all that. Safety audit, we also had it immediately after that audit in January 2024. And that audit also had actually been expanded in many areas of audit. And we have not yet confirmed the score, but the preliminary indicators show that we will get more than 80%. So, as far as the regulatory function is concerned, oversighting the industry, we have never been in a better position like now. We've just been to ICAO, and on all parameters, they are commending us and encouraging us to continue moving in that direction. Having said that, Honorable Chair, the other big mandate is about management of the airports, operating the airports, but also providing services like air navigation services. Regarding air navigation services, we've been doing extremely well, and we are part of the showcasing areas on the African continent, but also globally, because we are ahead in many areas, like making air navigation harmonious, and so on and so forth. So that area, we are also doing well. As a matter of fact, we actually chair and the president of the safety group of the whole of African region. I am the chair of that region. So that is air navigation. But we also go to management of airports. I'm very, very, very glad, and the team is very happy that a lot of commendations are coming from the members of parliament and also members of the public, actually, for what we have been able to do in spite of our meager resources that we have on Entebbe International Airport. And I want to tell honorable members and the country that we are not stopping on those improvements. I think you see quite a lot of buildings coming up. And as I said earlier on, you'll be seeing in the press, we are hoping to give this country a Christmas gift of an expanded terminal, 20,000 square meters, in addition to the current 30,000 square meters, to make it 50,000 square meters of terminal building, terminal capacity. And that will give us at least a comfortable figure, handling a comfortable figure of passengers of 3.5 million passengers per year. We also have other expansion programs. But we don't just expand, Honorable Chair. We are also putting in state-of-the-art technologies in terms of display, in terms of signage, in terms of other facilities of the airport. And that is not a very cheap thing to do. It's extremely expensive, but we'll keep improving. At least every year, you will see something in addition, adding to the current facilities. That's the resolve of this team that is here, and our board and our ministry. Honorable Chair, there are issues, of course, in all those, and I am glad that you have even seen the magazines and other credible international reports coming up and ranking us as one of the best civil aviation, yes, but also facilitated airports in some way. All airports, by the way, have challenges. And all airports are being renovated. When we sat, we could not see ourselves being left behind, because even in the region, you can see what is going on. Go to Dar es Salaam, you find people renovating and expanding. Nairobi, you saw it the other way. Kigali, same thing. So we don't want to be left behind, and we want also we will be bringing pictorials of what we want to do to harmonize the current and the new structures. I want also to tell you that our cargo center, there is no any other cargo center that you can have of similar facilitation and state-of-the-art equipment in the region, this very region, but also in most parts of Africa. Of course, there are some parts that have that cargo center, but our cargo center with its apron is a very, very, very good cargo center. And of course, recently we are completing a fuel hydrant, a common user hydrant, that is going to supply fuel in a common way, not these other few browsers that you always see. So it will be one common
As
user.
you are trying to summarize,
So let me summarize.
first,
I am sure that we have said this.
let me first have, is it Quizira?
My name is Quizera.
Yes, Quizira.
That is the best, and the bad is like this. Then we see, we measure for ourselves. Because when you look at the Supervision Authority, which is Uganda Supervision Authority, he is now focusing more on international business, and he forgets that we also want to use the
Okay.
then how much money has he spent on pleasing international people and the local people, and how many international flights have since abandoned it, coming to Entebbe, and the reasons why.
Okay.
Thank you.
Please.
No, if I can first complete this question. Honorable Chair, there are things that we have not done admittedly. Because we are managing, some of the systems are too old, like that, this current terminal building was built in 1972. With systems that cannot be really updated in some cases, like that lift you are talking about. We are trying to harmonize the two buildings by making big improvements, and we are coming to that stage where we shall harmonize the new and the old. The current lift, Honorable Pin, is really a big challenge to us, because these are structures, these are facilities of 1970. Some of them, even spare parts, are not and cannot be found. But when we harmonize, we get new lifts, we break here and there, and in the breakage, Honorable Chair, then you get inconvenience to passengers. You get blockage here and there, even to the storm water, and get some parts of it flooding, and many other things. These are problems of trying to work to improve, renovate, but you continue to operate, because we can't stop operating. You also continue to observe standards. So some of these challenges can only be felt when people are on the ground to see what is coming out and what is. They are sometimes very difficult to simply talk about without seeing. But we are managing. I want to say that there were no destruction of properties in some parts of the areas that were flooding.
Clarification from Pindi.
Chair, you see, I'm so Director General.
Why are you passionate?
Maybe I do not.
That is my constituency, Chair.
That's what I wanted you to be clear.
Chair, I don't know whether I have heard the Director General very well. In his response, it appeared to me as if there is no plan for now for the lift. And yet, the same issue was raised in the other audit, where we invited civil aviation, and the director assured me that when we open this new building, the arrival and departure building, we are going to have a modern lift. So you want to tell me on arrival and departure building, we don't have any lift?
No, Honorable Chair, we have actually not just, but no, we have lifts, we have very good lifts, and bigger lifts in the,
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, the Honorable Mpini should clarify, because he's saying my people. I don't know which kind of people he's talking about. Do you have your own class of Ugandans? Because the DG doesn't know that where you are seated, you are not full. So tell.
Chair, the people I'm referring to are persons with disability and those who cannot go through the stairs or the escalators. they may not be person with disability. So those are the people I'm talking for. But you see, my concern, DJ, when the plane lands, you must exit the runway, and then you go to the immigration. There is no lift there. So my question, maybe I have not seen. My question is there any lift that connect from the runway to the immigration? Or you are talking of the other one that are on the other building because you said they are there? What about those who land? Because there are people who cannot fit in that car lift also. I don't know whether you are aware of that. So if it is not there, what plans do you have? Because we cannot wait. And the other day, my colleague, the Honorable Kanushu, wanted to take you to court over that same issue. And we remember how you convinced us, and we left it. But if there are no plans, if you are thinking of 6 months, 1 year, then we cannot continue like that. That is an international airport that needs accessibility to every user. I'm wondering how they can really give you those points when the accessibility is still lacking, especially for the lift.
I hope I have understood the area you are talking about, but the contract is in place to supply a new lift. The contract is in place to supply a new lift. And I think we need just like 1 month to fix in the old building. That one I can assure you is taking place, is going to be supplied. The new lift to the structure that is leading to the current VIP.
Okay.
For the new buildings, we have really adequate lifts, and we took into account the disabled. The old building chair, the old buildings were not very much prominent, were not pronouncing. I think the disabled and lifts were not one of the major issues, but we tried.
Does not lead to the current VIP. There is that tiny one.
Earlier on, when he was coming in, I was mentioning actual scores. Actual scores. These are not just scores picked from anywhere. They are done on an international scale. If it is 72% safety, of course it is not 100%. 72 is not 100. That means 28 must have a corrective action plan for continuously working on them. He also talked about upcountry and the money.
So, Mr. Chairman, when they are measuring they measure Entebbe only, or they also measure upcountry aerodromes?
Please.
I will also. Now, I want to address now this matter of upcountry aerodromes. Upcountry aerodromes, Chair and Honorable Members, the money to spend in upcountry aerodromes are not money from Entebbe International Airport, our source of income. This is actually money that is supposed to come to be appropriated in this parliament and be spent from the government budget, because they don't make sufficient funds for reinvesting in them. In fact, up to now, they are still depending on some of the monies we generate at Entebbe, which is actually not correct.
For that, we shall talk about it when we are considering, because
Very much, and as the Honorable Quizzer is concerned, we have just been renovating, remodeling the runway in Chisoro, and it's very much.
From here to Chisoro is $320. From here to Nairobi is $300. So
It's actually the same distance.
Later on, you will tell me what.
It's actually longer to go to Chisoro than to Nairobi. Only that is a domestic.
okay.
Yes, and even very difficult because there are many carriers. There are not many carriers that go to Chisoro.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
About floods?
Yes.
About floods.
As I did mention here that there were floods in Entebbe, but they did not destroy property because these were mainly in the parking area, only caused by blockages that we continue to see as we renovate many places, drainage, but also increase in rain. The highest millimeters of rain that were experienced in the months of March and April were actually more exceptional, especially in Entebbe, than anywhere else. But we have worked on, opened a few of those drainages, even if we continue to work on them in the main expansion program that we have. But these were just simple challenges, and this water would actually disappear in a short time. But
So-
we were overwhelmed by the storm water that came and really clogged our system because of the many expansion activities that are going on.
So are you confirming this committee that will never appear again?
No, we really don't envisage that. A few areas which were flooding have been worked on, and we continue to work on them, even in anticipation of even bigger storms of water than anywhere else. And we have also seen that there is more speedy water runoff than it has ever been, I think because of the current expansion programs and renovation. And there is very little grass cover. So it comes with speed, and it comes in a bigger volumes. But we are handling it, Honorable Chair.
Okay.
I want to thank you so much.
Then we
No,
have
the-
on,
The baggage claim.
Honorable Chair, again, these are systems of 1972. We have built a new building, a new terminal building. Once it is completed with a belt that actually equals the number of passengers and the baggage that is expected, and of that. Right now we are trying to expand the area where baggage is sorted, is received, baggage makeup area, because it was small, it was very small, so that at least for the time being, we solve that problem temporarily. But the bigger problem will be solved when we open the 20,000 square meters of, because we shall separate passengers.
Okay.
Will be the departing passengers will be separate from arriving ones.
Yes.
And therefore their baggage.
Then we have the last person.
Face where it floods the face of the airport. I think you should caution the engineers, because at first you explained that in the process of renovating, at times we get leakages. That's why they flood. Your explanation. I think you have professional engineers. If I think so, they should deal with the after effects before even starting. What if we do this? What next? Because you see, the whole world saw what happens in Uganda when it floods. I think we should get a better solution than saying it came, we didn't know, the rains were too much. We should plan for that before, because that's an international airport. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. They are the engineers as per now, SFC.
This is called, there is one of the contractors is the engineers brigade of UPDF. Engineers brigade. But in case Engineer Soma, the director of airport, has some explanation, please don't hesitate to give that explanation from an engineering point of view.
Just in a minute, please.
There, through the, you know that Entebbe International Airport has been upgrading its infrastructure, and one of them was due to a number of traffic of vehicles. We had to increase the area of tarmac. Now, if you recall, as the Director General said, during that period, Entebbe International Airport received 30% of the total rain in the country. 30% only in Entebbe. So, this definitely had to overwhelm the system. However, there is a systematic upgrade of our drainage system, which is ongoing, And we believe that very soon, when it is completed, even while we undergo such challenges, this will not easily occur. So this is the current situation. Maybe I can go to the belts, which you have been talking. If you recall, this terminal building was designed for 250,000 passengers. And at that time, it had only one belt. When we are having the Commonwealth Chogam Heads of Government meeting, we upgraded that area and it came to 2 belts. At that time, our traffic was at 1.2, 1.5 million passengers. To date, we are over 2 million passengers using the same system. So, as the Director General is saying, we are again systematically planning, of course, also looking at the resources. We are having a general remodification of this terminal building, which will see that area increasing from those 2 to 3. So, that again is going to enhance, but that will not be still a total solution, as I have always told you that at your arrival, when you arrive, before you reach the port health, we can only accommodate 78, 75 passengers. Only one flight is more than 100, more than 200. Now, at the immigration area, we can only accommodate 150. Only Emirates has over 300 passengers. So even if you are whichever expert, that congestion, you will not remove it very easily. The only thing you can do is systematic rearrangement to try to see that people are facilitated to pass through. But also, due to the infrastructure construction, you will see that where we put the luggages or the baggages when they come from the aircraft is just at the belt. So, and yet the passengers who are coming, they are also coming just immediately at the belt. If you have gone to other airports, you will see that by the time you walk to reach where you are going to collect your baggage, it is already enough time for your baggage to have arrived at the carousel. We need to understand this challenge at Entebbe International Airport. Thank you very much.
Okay.
For your technical in this, Honorable asked you about the floods, and I've heard your explanation. And I want you to tell us, in your format, do you plan to construct flooding when looking at the amount of rain to be received in that area so that not to have floods? Or because I think the amount of rain cannot cause, you cannot say it is the one which led to the flooding of the area. In your planning, the format, because there are many, what did you plan, or which amount of the rain did you plan on basing?
The point is clear. Yes, Engineer.
Mr. Chairman, just let me add on airports. Mr. Chairman, I think the explanation is not really just, is not sufficient enough to explain the issue of floods. One, the issue is just technically about the drainage system. The drainage system is poor. Just go back to the contractor who designed it. Because one, we've got an advantage. That place is on a high latitude at least somehow. So it is not in the valley that would be experiencing such. So the issue is just basically about drainage system. So if you can go back to your contractor to redesign the drainage system, we shall not have the floods. The issue of heavy amounts of rain, so 30% of the rain is received in Entebbe, is not justified.
Okay. DG?
So actually, right now, and partly we have been able to control the water, and we are going to do it aligned to our developments. We are doing that, Honorable. Yes.
Okay. Members, let's go. and you collected 283.372 billion. What caused the surplus? Can we start from that?
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. As I did ask earlier on before, that the Director of Finance takes us through his responses, where I feel like he has not adequately explained or any addition. I will be coming in and also asking any of the members of the team to come in.
Okay, it's very fine.
Thank you.
Before you come in,
That we had anticipated to collect 239.1 billion.
to what? Yes.
239
I
billion.
can't
That was
see
our budget.
242. According to Auditor General's report.
Okay. The 242 include the 3 billion from government for the upcountry.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Yes, we saw an increase of 17% above what we had anticipated. Accordingly, Chair, you are aware that this was a year immediately after COVID. And you may also be aware that the budgeting process begins almost a year before. So ideally, these projections were done in 2021, after we had even been guided by the International Civil Aviation Organization about traffic in the world. And you're also aware, Chair, that the most hit sector in the economy world over was the aviation, that actually saw zero income. Now, at that point, we were just beginning to recover. We were still having social distancing. If you have an aircraft coming to Entebbe with 300 passengers, it was only bringing 150. So, and our income is based on the number of passengers. So that's why we had this. But towards the end, when we started implementing the year, we show a sharp increase in the passengers, and out of the relaxation of the entire COVID restrictions world over.
Members, do you have any? Honorable Nangoli?
Thank you. To make your revenue estimates for every financial year. Because if you overcollect, it means that you don't have a basis. Because you are saying this is the time that you had just come out of COVID, but you could be having a basis. What do you base on to come up with your revenue estimates in terms of performance? That's what we want to know. We are interested in knowing the basis. What basis do you use?
So meaning, we want the breakdown of your sources of.
The authority budgeted for 239 billion, and it collected 280 billion.
Where are you? Okay, yes, please.
The same page.
Yes, yes.
And the explanation is that they did not see that the economy is going to recover at that highest speed. So because of that, they corrected 280. You can see that difference between from 239 to 280. But now they are saying, because they have seen that, they have budgeted well, and now the budget for 23-25 is 300 billion.
It is 23-24.
Yes, 23-24. It is 300 billion. There is a slight increment of 19 billion, almost 19, slightly above 19 billion. So, Chair, my question to the Director of Finance is 22-23, they collected 280. Now 23-24, just an increment of slightly above 19 billion. Don't you think it is little, based on how you performed in the other financial year? Because now the situation is not the same. Time and again, Entebbe Airport is gaining is gaining momentum. Many people are coming. Many businesses are improving. So an increment of 19 billion, don't you think it is also under budgeting? And we are going to experience a rise of the money collected, which was not budgeted for.
Okay, please, Director.
Thank you, Chair. The first tier in that regard is the passenger service charge.
Where are you reading that from?
From the budget.
Which
the
page?
Summary budget.
Which page?
This part of the extract one.
Is it attached here? Because you have this big
No, it's not attached.
One in the file, Chair.
One?
It is not attached. The summary of the details of the NTR is not attached.
No, please.
We only attach the summary of what we expect to recover.
So you're hiding them from us?
No, sir.
You are the only one who having them.
No. That was the background of the NTR, the breakdown. Yes.
Yes?
Honorable Chair, our biggest is from the passenger service charge, which accounts for about 60% of our NTR. And that NTR, that passenger service charge, is tagged on a ticket. So it is actually the number of passengers. The more passengers, the more revenue. The honorable colleague has said that, the honorable member has said that the 19 billion might be underestimating. It's not underestimating in our opinion, because the variable on our revenue is only on the passenger charge. But the other fixed income that may not change much, like rent, personnel licenses, these are normally, they don't change. What is variable here is landing charges. Normally, they slightly increase. That one depends on the frequency of the aircraft that land at Entebbe. But the most variable was the passenger service charge. So, yes, by the time we closed this same financial year under review, 22-23, we had almost stabilized at an average of about 250,000 passengers. That is embarking and disembarking passengers. And also, we do not charge the passengers that are coming in. The passenger service charge is only applicable to the outgoing only, the qualifying. And also, like the infants, the security personnel, UN officials, they don't pay, they're exempt. So our projection is really realistic, given the trend of the traffic that comes in. That is why we had to revisit.
When
There
you...
was another question, Honorable Chair, about why we did under budget during COVID, and the question was, don't we have parameters we use to budget? Honorable Chair and members, this maybe I just clarify this. COVID was an epidemic that had no precedent. And even if you look at the file 1.1b, this is ICAO, this is not just us, who had estimated that recovery will be in 2025, 2024, late, towards 2025. And nobody knew at all that we would get an influx of passengers. And the explanation now that is afforded today is that during COVID, people had been lost, others were in different places, and that was a time of coming back, of doing things they had not been doing. That influx may reduce as we go on, because it also included those that do not travel because of COVID. So we are not going to be deceived that that trend will continue. because it was just clearing the backlog that had been there. So we have to be careful as we budget going forward. That's what I wanted to clarify.
Honorable Kasolo.
Thank you, Chair. Very correction, you have only talked about only two, that's landing and passenger charges. Are they the only sources of your NTR? Let it be clear.
Honorable Chair, those are not the only 15 sources, but I picked that being the major one, and that is the most valuable, those two.
But when you come to a committee and a question of that nature, you outline all of them.
Okay. The Director of Finance, through the accounting officer, on note 25, related to what we are discussing about investment in subsidiaries. Could you give us more details about this? What are these investment in subsidiaries in Entebbe cold stores? The cold stores. Take note of that. Okay.
Yes.
Because I really want to understand. Okay. And I believe to the members also.
Okay.
Thank you, Chair and honorable members. Yes, in 1994, exports through cold stores, and by that time, through perishables, for the perishables. By that time, the old cargo did not have any equipment that could do that. So you said funded government, and the condition at that time was it should run independent, whereas it is fully owned by Civil Aviation Authority. It was meant to support the private sector for the perishables, mostly the vegetables, the flowers, the fruits, as were coming up. So from that time, we have had that facility, but again, over time, we saw Entebbe International Airport coming up with a state-of-the-art cargo center. We saw the other exporters, because of improved infrastructure to the airport, that do no longer need to bring their things to Entebbe. They just bring them as real time to be loaded on the aircraft and going. So to cut the story short, that it remained an entity that runs independent of CA but generating money for CAA. Though currently business has really gone down because of the technology that was there by then is becoming obsolete.
Honorable Kwizera.
Look at the structure of NTR.
Pardon?
Why can't you give us?
Thank you, Chair.
I've received a copy of the income budget that's Schedule 1.
Yes.
And even I wanted to ask you, I can't.
To get to know the members of parliament. But those who come in late shouldn't waste our time introducing them.
Same.
Okay.
This is the same. It is actual. The
Okay.
different sources of NTR.
So members,
As listed on page 46.
members,
Note 6.
okay. Okay. So we proceed.
It comes from Ministry of Works, a conditional subvention specifically to maintain their country aerodromes. It is true that the MTF had 3 billion, but on the actual cash limits, we only received 2.5. We have always engaged the ministry, since we are not a vote, we have always engaged our mother ministry, bringing them to this issue, that yes, as much as we have a token allocation, we don't normally receive it in full.
There evidence of engagement. As you are looking for the evidence, members, do you have any question on that? Yes.
Explain. To me, it's clear.
We received the 2.47 and it was fully utilized, but it was not enough. And as CAA, within our resources, we also allocate a minimal fund for those aerodromes, and a total of an extra of 3.5 was used on top of what we had received from government. Engagements are always there through budget conferences and appeals to make sure that enough funds are allocated to keep those up-country aerodromes alive.
Okay. Yes, DG.
Honorable Chair,
Do you
maybe out of this interaction, it is very, very, very challenging, Honorable Chair, to maintain these aerodromes without any funding from the central government. And quite a number of MPs here know that, and have really, really been our neck on them. When we divert, we divert money from the investment into the facility that makes it, that is Entebbe, we are actually living contrary to international standards, to international guidelines. Money that is made by a facility should be reinvested in the facility. But because of pressure, many times, we actually divert money from Entebbe International Airport, which should be used to construct, to complete the search park and other things, and send it, say, to Chisoro or to where. That's why we have just been done. But ideally, this should be from government budgets. Yes, I am very serious on this, my honorable chair, because when we are in charge of these resources, sometimes we don't look good. We don't look good because we are simply, we are, sorry.
The chairman
Sorry.
is mentioning that they don't get the resources. It is better that he proves to the committee, doesn't ask for the resources. Parliament can't give the resources which you have not asked. So can you prove to this committee that you asked for the resources and you are not given the resources, which resulted into diversion of resources from Entebbe to those aerodromes?
Yes, please.
I really could not, because these budget books are here, maybe Director of Finance. Go ahead and explain these matters.
That
Because,
information.
yes?
No, let
Honorable
him show
Chair
us
will
where you
provide, I'll
budgeted.
provide the
We want to
information.
give this information, probably give us a little bit, one day, we'll get these figures because we are not anticipated that this would be required. But actually there is a lot of engagement, even with the Minister of Finance.
Let them be provided not later than tomorrow.
We'll bring it.
Okay.
This was not envisaged at that time, as much as we had these figures in our budgets, but by the time the budget was approved, we had not fully internalized the actual activities for them, which was later done, and at implementation, as indicated even on the same table here, the details were indicated, and it was because of we are not confirmed the requirements for the safety and the security audits that were upcoming, because all these activities were meant to prepare the country for those two technical audits.
Yes. 1.4, implementation of autoports and activities. That is page 4 of the Auditor General's report. Please.
Session of output and activities. It is true, a number of activities, that is, as indicated, the 32 outputs worth 172.4 billion were not implemented. Out of the 172, most of these were futuristic activities that were put in a work plan and expecting to receive money. A case in point, we thought government will have approved the second phase of the expansion, and the 150 billion maybe deposits would have been paid in the same year. But unfortunately, to date, the second phase has not been approved. But at that time, we had put it in our budget. We knew the first phase was ending in 2021, so come 2022, it will be. So That is why the figure is so high. Then two, a number of activities were ongoing at the time of audit. When you look at our appendix 1.4 in the file,
Mr. Chairman,
we have given an update on the entire
some clarification.
172 billion, this current status.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Honorable Kwizera.
are they telling us that the Auditor General carried out the audit on, because Auditor General looks at the activities, budget and appropriate resources, so which means the resources were given for particular outputs and they were not done. Because if you had not got the resources, the Auditor General would not have found it as a query. I want to be sure that what you are saying, that you wanted to do this, you didn't do it because there was no money, then why is it a query?
That's true, that's why it was picked.
Come using your financial details.
Yes,
Please.
Chair.
But you budgeted for these activities and this money didn't come. And why is it?
Because this query was from the strategic plan. and,
Before you came in,
above all, the
before you
work
come
plan.
in,
Yeah.
let me have
Chair, additionally, can we have these that were affected by this?
yes.
Under NTR, because the money that was picked from government is only 2.47 billion, but the rest of the funds were internally generated. And then he's saying that they didn't get the money. Maybe he needs to explain further so that we can understand that. But again, Mr. Chairman, what would be most important at this time also is to give us the status of these activities.
That part of the money was not got because we are mandated to keep track of all our activities. And why I picked out the phase 2, when we go to the list, not implemented outputs, that was picked from our work plan, which is in the big file as 1.4. Yes. It is clear that there is no way how we could have received the 150 billion, which was not part of our resources.
Remember, let's
Yes. Annex 1.14. 1.4. 1.4.
let's have a look at it.
Honorable Chair, we gave the answer that part of what was being mentioned at 172 billion, they had included a figure of 150 billion, which is meant for the phase 2, which was in our documentation as anticipating that a loan will be approved. The other 20 is okay, it was part of our approved budget. And we have given the update on the status by 30th June 2023.
Mr. Chairman, I am looking at
The same. I don't want to.
Let me first have
I don't want to be rigged to that.
Honorable Bakabulindi.
Yeah, what I'm trying to staff of the Auditor General, some are incompetent. They could not be convinced.
Yes, the rest.
General is here. These documents are here. This 150 billion is part of what would have been phase 2 of Entebbe expansion and modernization of the airport. This committee and this parliament knows very well that this loan has never materialized. But we thought that by the time we start operationalizing this budget, this would be here. The Auditor General is here, really. This one cannot be a secret or some secret documents. The documents are here. Their own figures, their own approval evidence could also be there. We applied for it. We have never got it.
Mr. Chairman, we are ready.
Mr. Chairman.
Let me have Honorable Kwizera.
I can see that the status There is nowhere they say they didn't get the money. They say ongoing, procurement going, pending approval. So, am I not on this one? 1.4.
No, look at number
1.4.
26. Honorable. Is there?
If you are waiting for a loan, how can the Auditor General say you have not performed? If you are talking about number 20, 26 or 20?
26.
26, 20% for construction of the phase. You say waiting approval of the loan, not budget fund item. So, you mean the Auditor General followed to audit where the fund is, where did have funds? Is it wrong?
Well, maybe in addition, Mr.
And
Chairman.
who failed his work? Who was supposed to approve the loan?
Let me first have that.
Mr. Chairman.
No.
What we need also, as a clarification, Mr. Chairman, because we are trying to look at the budget in that financial year. And I ought to think that the 150 was part of the budget.
No.
Now, here comes in, the equation is changing, that this was part of a loan. This was supposed to be a loan. So can we get to understand proper whether the 150 is a loan or these projects that were being audited were part of the budget, which forms 200 and what? 200 and
208.
280. Is the 150
No.
part of this money?
No.
It's not
It
part
was
of this.
under, in the work plan as under unfunded priorities that we thought it would form part of the budget if approved within the financial year.
So can we
That's
now
why I
know
put it there.
How much was their budget?
what was your actual budget and which activities you did
What did you receive from the
in the 280 billion? Because from what we see here that was audited is 200, the auditor is talking of
208.
100 and what? 170.
Let me have the response.
170. 170 what?
This one is 173.
173. And in the 173, you are saying 150 was supposed to be acquired as a loan. But we have an entire budget of 280. So we need to understand what was done in the 280.
Yes.
What was performed in the 280 is part of the Auditor General's report. When we go to page 79, from page 79, we give the details of what was done in terms of actual outputs.
No, just tell us the total, the budget in your books. Then we shall calculate for ourselves. How much you received from Treasury and how much you retained to use, the totals.
Yes.
Here. Chair, what was collected as non-tax revenue and transfer from government?
How much?
It was 283.
283.
0.371 billion.
Treasury.
That is what we collect. What we collected and from Treasury as non-tax revenue.
Yeah, Honorable Chair.
And our total expenditure was, total operating expenses was 248.554 billion.
So some balance was saved.
Yes.
So how did you save balances? Then you have outputs which are not met.
But these are the outputs that were not fully implemented, part of them.
That's what I'm saying.
The 20 years.
The outputs, some of them were not done because of shortage of funds.
Not really. It's only one that was short of funds.
Your budget was 208.
Yes. Yes.
Then you got
248. 248 as actual expenditures.
And how much did you get from Treasury and how much do you retain to use?
283.
283.
Yes. Bringing a surplus of 34 billion.
Yes, 34.
Yes. And part of that 34, it is the status I've given on 1.4, apart from the loan.
So the shortage was 34.
No, it was a surplus, it was not
Surplus.
a shortage.
And then when you go to
when we
the other
said
26, that's 150.
that one is an outlier, but the rest, apart from the 26,
Yes.
the rest we have given an update where they were. We're not saying that we did not have money.
So why can't you convince members about this loan? What was the loan was from where? Which bank? Who was supposed to approve? Who failed?
Chair.
That the committee
Let
can
me-
now say you were failed.
Chair.
Those who are supposed to approve your loan.
Chair, I have a similar question so that he can answer.
Let him first answer that. They will come in Angoli.
Honorable Chair, this is the loan from China for part of the expansion activities of the airport. The first phase of the loan, $200 million, was acquired through this parliament and has been was being utilized through many activities, receiving of runways, that cargo center I have been talking about, and many other activities. I can enumerate
That's
them.
understandable.
They are
We want to know
there.
where that loan came
So,
from.
because we had wanted, actually, the total budget of that loan was 312 million US dollars. In the wisdom of Parliament, when we came here, the Parliament just simply approved part of it, 200 million.
So
This
you are-
has been
you are saying
explained
the total loan was supposed
to be 300.
312.
Yes,
You made submissions to finance.
yes,
Finance submits to Parliament.
yes.
Parliament, did the Parliament reduce the loan?
Yes,
Or
yes,
it is
yes.
The,
And
or
the-
it is the finance which reduced the
No, it was Parliament. Parliament actually, at that time, and rightly, said absorption capacity. I think there was an issue here about lack of absorbing these loans, and they becoming.
So Civil Aviation Authority did not have capacity to absorb the loans within that
We
that
had
given year.
capacity, but in the wisdom of Parliament, they said, first take this, go back when it is
So do you
finished.
have the loan contract?
Yes,
Can we get the loan
the
contract?
loan contract is here. It has even been a subject of discussion so many times.
I mean, not in COSASE.
It has
We
been,
need to help you.
it has been in previous, but we are going to give
We
you.
need
Okay.
to see how
Honorable Chair,
Please.
Honorable Chair, I have a concern
Yes,
with the
Honorable.
expenses under Civil Aviation Authority.
Honorable Batua,
Yeah, thank you
please,
very much.
you request
Can-
for.
Honorable Chair,
For-
maybe I retire this first.
Let me first have